Known as the painter of bottles, the first exhibition in Korea on Giorgio Morandi's works has opened, and our Yim Yoonhee joins us with more on this very exhibition. Good afternoon, Yoonhee.
Good afternoon. So, the Morandi Museum in Italy has recently lent a series of original paintings by the Italian painter Giorgio Morandi to the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art here in Korea. Now, Morandi is an artist who is really known for not taking for granted the everyday and finding his muse in what we would call the ordinary. So take a look at some of his work.
Nothing big, nothing fancy. Just ordinary objects, tidy lines, and delicate tones. At first glance, they appear to be just your everyday bottles, and more bottles. These are the subtle works of Italian painter Giorgio Morandi, a painter most famous for his still lifes.
Morandi was born in Bologna, where he lived a very quiet life, never getting married or having any children. He worked and lived in the same studio until the end. But this artist actually lived through multiple wars and chaos, yet he still held true to himself, consistently creating his landscapes and still lifes. Like a chessboard, he would paint the same frame over and over again, moving around objects to find out where each belonged.
Korea and Italy have had ties for 130 years now, and the works of one of Italy's most famous contemporary painters can now be found in Seoul. Most of his works were done on a small scale, and often contained the images of ordinary objects found in life. One of these objects was the everyday, simple glass bottle, but occasionally it would be the common seashell. And sometimes he even ventured to the serene landscape. And while his still lifes were the most successful of his collection, his other works also contain his drastic contrasts of light and geometric shapes that echo the rhythm of his subtle style. Korean artists from more recent times also demonstrate stylistic traits similar to Morandi, implying the timelessness of Morandi's works, and how these traits have just as much meaning today as they had when they were first painted. Some have recreated that familiar silhouette of a bottle or a vase, while some have taken the vase off the canvas in a rather unique homage to the painter.
Morandi was a very quiet artist, but his work still had strong energy. I wanted to create a sculpture with similar traits as Morandi. So I too took traditional everyday objects and shapes, but I used the canvas to actually make the frames. And instead of a paintbrush, I used a needle to create my work. Individually, they are still life objects, but displayed together like this, it almost looks like a still life painting.
Whether it be hung on today's museum wall or a wall 50 years ago, Morandi found a way to create ageless works, paintings that take the everyday objects of life and immortalize them.
So you see he's quite a big artist in other parts of the world, but not many Koreans, I would think, that they know Morandi. So can you tell us a little bit more about him and his works as well?
So actually, during the mid-20th century, when Morandi was at the peak of his art career, I guess you can say, he was considered one of the greatest still life artists of the era, and still is considered a very highly skilled still life artist. However, here in Korea, he was not as well known, or his work wasn't as known for many reasons, but one of those reasons is believed to be the fact that he was a very unconventional artist, and so he really did not fit into any other types of art movement. So he really stuck to his own style. He was actually nicknamed the monk artist because he really just was a recluse artist who stayed in his apartment and just worked and painted. So because of that, he really stuck to his own style that he developed from start to finish. So he was not influenced by others and did not influence others until his work started becoming more public. And so hopefully with this exhibition, more Koreans will be exposed to Morandi's works.
So really living up to the value of art itself as well. And you did say that once you get to know him and know his work, though, you become a huge fan.
Right, so that's what many of the artists there were saying. So the artist you saw in the interview, she actually said that she didn't hear about him much in the beginning, but once she studied him, she was absolutely in love with his very subtle, very classic work. But at the exhibition, they actually have two parts. So one part is Morandi's original works, and the other part features works from other artists who are either influenced by Morandi or who happen to have characteristics similar to Morandi by coincidence.
Okay.
And
so even
this
without
part,
knowing him.
Right, exactly. So this part is actually called Dialogue with Morandi, and I really enjoyed it because you could actually see almost like a conversation between these artists and Morandi, because you can see either characteristics and similarities throughout, or even talking to the artist in the interview that you saw earlier, she really said that she saw how beautiful his works were and wanted to recreate this quiet but this strong energy that she felt in each of them. And so like a dialogue, you can see that exchange between the two artists.
So I didn't know about Morandi, but for homework for today,
Right.
for me, is to go home and study about Morandi, and maybe I'll also become a fan.
Well, you can go check out his exhibition now.
That's right. All right. Thank you very much, Yimhee, for today's report.
It's always a pleasure.